Welcome to Awaken Terrain. I am your host, architect Alexandra Bogasat, and I am excited to be here and share about my unique perspective of how we can heal the disharmony between our built environments and the natural world. This is a mission that is obviously a deep passion of mine. Um, it's so profound. We are all, each and every one of us, responsible for not just caring for our environments as stewards of earth, as stewards of the land, but crafting them in a way that truly honors the sacredness of the land, that honors earth and all of her unseen friends who maintain the balance of nature. We need to bring a grateful reverence to every creation we make on the land, whether it is a home, a place of business, a garden, a whole community, our cities. We kind of been doing it all wrong. And every project, no matter how big, no matter the type, no matter the scale, whether you're going to do a DIY on your land, whether it's a garden gate, a full addition, a brand new structure, an agricultural project, forestry project, doesn't really matter. Approach these, um, when we approach the land and we want to make changes to it, we can do this in a really profoundly transformative and healing way. Through starting with this intention of grateful reverence, that's where we begin. So if you're a land steward, an earth guardian, an eco enthusiast, a nature lover, then please enjoy this journey with me. And I hope I can inspire you, empower you, and guide you towards how it is we need to change, to revolutionize the way we conceive of and build our structures and landscapes in order to heal this disharmony between our built environments and earth that many of us feel, that I feel, have always felt. It's so important we do this. This is a great big mission for humanity. And each and every one of us are responsible for our own environments. But don't worry, this can be done in a joyful, playful, easeful way. And I hope to show you how you can envision a dream property, your harmonized haven that nourishes your soul while honors the sacredness of your land. During this first episode, my premiere episode, I just gonna go into a little bit more detail about what I mean by this and weave that into my life's path and how I got here. it is pretty obvious to me when I go through the story. This was always meant to be where I was at here and now, sharing with you. I am a perpetual student, but I also love to teach and love to share. I was a sailing instructor for all of my teenage years and a teaching assistant, a um, I was looked at as a mentor at the firms I worked for before I became a sole proprietor of my own practice. And I truly function as a mentor to intern architects who are going through the internship program here in Canada, in Manitoba, where I'm located. So I'm so grateful to be able to have this opportunity to to be a voice for our earthly mother as an architect. Yeah, I can't say I thought I would be here. That said, when I was a child, I absolutely loved nature. It was has always been a huge passion of mine, being outside, being in nature. Always been a nature lover. And I would spend my childhood collecting um, flowers and leaves outside, using them for art. I love searching for insects and frogs, making sand pancakes, pretending I was a runaway living in the woods, living off of the earth. I grew up sailing the wild islands of Georgian Bay in Ontario. And so when I went into architecture, I made that decision, like that final decision when I was about, I think, 18, 19 years old. I really, there was a deep inner conflict there. I thought, what am I doing? I love nature and I'm going to be like thoroughly involved and responsible for building over it, paving over the natural landscape. I just didn't really question that this is what I wanted to do, but there was an inner conflict there, 100%. I was just also so drawn and passionate about architecture. In fact, when I was born, I was brought home to a construction site. My childhood home was expanded upon because I was conceived on. When I was in womb, my mother was literally working with an architect to design the expansion to their home. Um, you know, fairly minor. It's not like grand or anything, but it was still, she had such a deep value for design as well. She worked with an architect, the same architect who designed my mom's home, my grandma, my Oma. My Oma and Opa lived in a very beautiful mid-century inspired home on the shores of the Niagara River. And I grew up going there all the time. I loved that home. And it gave me a deep appreciation for how unique design is really feels good to be in. Simply that. Just loved it. And most of my friends and family lived in typical suburban homes, like most people in Canada. So I was pretty lucky that way. And I loved art. I loved math. It did make a lot of sense. So by grade eight, I had actually written a yearbook as career choice. And I mean, I grew up sketching cabins situated in the rocky shores of the wild islands of Georgian Bay amongst the trees. I also love to build out of Lego, but I wouldn't build like homes per se. Oops. I loved to build with this set that took place. Um, I think it was like a Pacific island and it had a stream and like rock formation on it. And I love to build on that with like leaves and, pieces of it that showed rocks with growing vines, and that was my favorite set to build with. I also would create homes for my Barbies, and they often had the walls were made from National Geographic pop-up books of different ecosystems and habitats. And my favorite thing to do was to use one that was a page with a pop-out nest, and that would become the bed for baby Kelly. Like, how beautiful, how joyful, how playful. And this is what I mean. We can actually, like, not actually build with Lego and pop-up books, but we need to go back to this joy, this play, this creative essence we all hold. We can bring that to the design table in a really intuitive and spirit-guided way, and in a soulful way, in a gentle way, in a nice and beautiful way. And it is those experiences as a child that makes me understand um, how it is that I personally do this and can guide others to do this. And it might seem silly. I mean, lots of people play with Lego, but it is, to me, a big piece of the story of this weaving that I am sharing today. But when I graduated high school, I had, forgotten what I wrote in that grade 8 yearbook. I kind of got thrown off course. Um, I wanted to become a scientist. I went into biology to find a cure for multiple sclerosis, the chronic disease that was taking away the life of my mother. And my mother, she was the one who really uh, gave me that deep gratitude for nature and appreciation of nature. And she was an artist. She was a graphic artist herself. Um, so I felt this deep desire to help her somehow. And I thought this was it, but boy, I did not like biology. I didn't do well in any of the courses, but I took one elective. It was an art history course, one elective that wasn't science or math. And during our first seminar, we were asked, why is it we're taking this course? And there was one girl in my class who said, I want to become an architect, or I'm thinking of becoming an architect. And I thought, oh my, yeah. And it's just, I mean, it's so crazy to me that that experience even happened. It was just like, ding, lights went off. And I remembered. I shared with my mom that I wanted to change, and she was obviously really understanding as an artist herself. She saw my love for art and math, that architecture kind of integrated. So it made a lot of sense. But first, I finished out 4 years at this university that didn't offer an architecture program. I stayed in art history and took every single one of their architectural courses they had to offer, architectural history courses, from classical architecture to the Middle Ages and the Christian cathedrals, to the Renaissance, the revival of classical architecture, like Leonardo, Da Vinci, to uh, the revival of Gothic architecture, and arts and crafts, to the modernism, high modernism, to postmodernism. I learned about it all. And, there was been points in my life where I thought, like, why did I finish that degree? Like, why did I stay? Why didn't I just move to a university that could offer me the program I wanted? I was, for some reason, again, like unexplicably drawn to finish that program, and I am so thankful I did. For me now, it's offered me this context, this historical context that I can build upon and understand, um, that I plan on sharing as well. As I said, I'm a perpetual student. I love to learn, and I'm I'm not afraid to even rewrite the history I have been taught in a new perspective that helps us understand how spirit has been a part of architecture for a long, long time. We've just written it out of the history books, at least in the history I was taught. Even when we come to the modern, the turn to modernism, there was architects who were beginning to understand that we needed to bring soul and spirit back into architecture. And there was a big question about what style we build in. And oh, this is like a huge debate that I'm just really excited to dive into. So if you're like me and you're a bit of a history buff, then please tune into those episodes as well. I can't wait to dive into nerding out about history and my new understanding of history that is infused by um, understanding of energy and spirit and um, and consciousness, the organic evolutionary consciousness of humanity and of our planet, and understanding that the time we are in now isn't like antiquity, isn't like ancient Egypt or India. And so we do need new ways of building and conceiving of these buildings. We can learn from an understanding, a fully holistic and multidimensional understanding that, where it was that they were in their consciousness and their understanding of, Earth and the natural realms. We can take what they understood and bring it forward to a certain extent, but we also need something new as well. We should always be striving towards um, evolving with this planet and this consciousness, ourselves, our true selves. So we got Joey and Ease. We have this context, this historical context, this evolutionary context that plays into this new approach. And also during that time at Queen's University, when I was studying my art history and architectural history, I took a lot of electives in human geography and sustainable development. And I really learned a lot about the principles of sustainability, economic, social, environmental sustainability. What's happening on the world stage? What are the endeavors of the different bodies of government? Uh, and just the basic principles and the history of the movement. And so there is this eco consciousness that I am tapping into, and a eco spirit consciousness that we need to bring into sustainability. Integrate spirituality and sustainability. So we're not strictly looking at solving the issues of this disharmony between the built environment and the natural world strictly through materialistic objectives, materialistic impulses. There is a new level of energy in this realms of spirit. There is quantum biology and quantum physics that we can begin to understand, quantum entanglement, and all of these principles that, like, even people in the general realm are beginning to understand. So we need to bring them into this eco consciousness that has really significantly ramped up since, obviously, since the term sustainability developed in the 19 mid 1900s. And this idea of sustainability followed me into the architecture program. And in the first year, we're asked to make a manifesto. So, what would be like the big mission statement of a firm if we were to establish a firm? What would be the big mission statement and purpose of everything? And mine was all about sustainability. It was all like green plants growing up around buildings. I don't even remember, but I kind of wish I had that. I wish I kept that project. But yeah, it was all about sustainability. And but in school, the school I went to, there wasn't a huge focus on sustainability. It was kind of naturally interwoven into the principles we were taught, which I liked. I really liked the school. I went to Dalhousie University. I'm very grateful for the program there that I went through. And yeah, and then when I got to my thesis project, I hardly actually studied architecture to develop my kind of like whole thesis, the whole book, the writing that goes along with it. I actually mostly studied theories from landscape architecture and landscape ecology. And I was really determined to get to understanding the dynamic nature, the dynamics of natural processes, and how we could bring those into our buildings to inform them. I mean, buildings are becoming increasingly more complex, and yet, you know, often it's just more technology brought in to fix, what it is, some new problem we're trying to create solutions for. But, I really did feel like the answers are in nature. Many people do. But it was still from this very physical, materialistic lens. And it didn't really seem to didn't really seem to answer my full question of, healing this disharmony between the built environment and the natural world and earth. And then I got into the profession and, all the hope and drive I felt from my thesis. I actually won an outstanding thesis award. They actually said, the guest instructor even said, like, there should be more people. She was disappointed there weren't more people listening to my presentation because she did feel it was so significant for moving forward in the realm of sustainable architecture. But yeah, all that enthusiasm quickly left in the professional world, especially as an intern. There's a lot of learning you need to do on the job, very little room for inspiration to come to expand upon all of these great ideas that I was really excited about. And then I ended up at a bit of a toxic work environment. I never really experienced the full blunt of the toxicity stemming from the boss there until the end, and then I was out. And I almost left architecture. I was almost done with the profession after that. I moved to the countryside to be with my husband. We moved to his hometown where he grew up, a rural town in Manitoba, and I was just so glad to be out of the rat race. I was like out of it. Yet I was able to maintain ties to my profession. I was able to kind of just, I really thought I was just going to find another job and quit my profession, but somehow I was able to scrabble together enough work to keep going, to remain a licensed architect. Meanwhile, I was, you know, obviously chronically stressed. My mom's disease was getting much, much worse. I had worked in a toxic work environment. I gave so much to that firm for I'm not sure what, other than experience, sure. And in a way, I actually am glad for the experience because I wouldn't have moved to the countryside. And so even amongst all of this chronic stress, and I had 3 children under 3, started with twins, so my stress, my body, my health was declining, but I had nature, I had land, I had my family, I had my babies. And that first year, especially when I had my twins, I spent a lot of time on my property just watching the animals. Um, I can actually remember, oh, I see this same squirrel come around this part of the yard at the same time every day while I'm breastfeeding my babies. So it's just really just with being out here brought an amazing level of healing to all of that and brought me back to my passion for nature. So, but instead of like trying to bring that into my practice of architecture, I began to study regenerative agriculture and permaculture and just kind of self-studied. I even went to some workshops, free workshops for regenerative cattle ranchers. Not that I am a rancher, but I literally thought I'm quitting architecture. I'm going to be a farmer. I'm going to be a holistic farmer. Um, but again, it was hard to let go of my profession. And there was something obviously keeping me propelled on that course. And at the same time, I was also just working on my own healing, working with natural healing protocols. And finally, it came to like understanding energetics. This really started with one simple act suggested to me by my sister, and I started to do it, and it transformed me and my life. It was so amazing. It was simple. Go out and see the sunrise with naked eyes, not behind glass, every day, as often as you can, as many days as you can. And here in Manitoba, it's a super big challenge because the sunrise is super early in the summertime. So I kind of don't do it in the summer because it's just don't get enough sleep if I do that. But it was so transformational. I started in the winter and I just gained a whole new meaning for life. I also started studying like the importance of this, like what it was about the sun, the energetics and the importance of light, or the environment, the light environment. We evolved under all of the light of the sun. Even darkness matters. Turning off your lights at night to sleep matters. And this really propelled my healing journey forward and got me very interested in light and frequency and energy and a quantum biology perspective. And I ended up enrolling in a course that really brought in architecture and energy and form integrated onto one, called biogeometry, founded by an architect in Egypt, an Egyptian architect, Dr. Ibrahim Karim. He's also a scientist, and it's really a qualitative science of energy and form and shape. Quite beautiful. This is actually one of this necklace I'm wearing is his. So if you're watching the video, you can see. And yet I didn't complete the full training. Um, there was obviously something else still meant out there for me, still meant for me. And it was finally I found a mentor after doing much more healing on like a spiritual level, working with the chakras and my inner child and emotional freedom technique. So tapping, if anybody knows that, mindset, gratitude, all these sorts of principles. But I didn't quite, and again, I thought I'm going to become a healer. I'm just going to heal the world. But then I found my mentor, Aisha, and she showed me you can integrate this all together: spirit, nature, healing, transformation, architecture. And I thought, yes, this is everything, everything. This it was like the culmination point of my life story coming into focus, coming into view, the veil being lifted to this whole dang story of the suffering and the confusion and the inner conflict. I'm seeing the time 333. It's beautiful. Beautiful. So, in itself, this connection, this reconnection to the rhythms of earth and sky, to the sun, so healing for me. And this can be done. Well, you also get to generate visions for your property, for your dream property. You get to do this with joy. You get to do this with ease, while also knowing you're honoring the sacredness of the land. When you're truly being a steward of the land, and you're truly being Earth's guardians. It's not about what style we choose or sustainability standard we choose. It's not about going on Pinterest or House or Arc Daily and trying to recreate other people's visions. It's not about iteration after iteration of design to please our clients, to find the right answer. No, we can get clarity. We can get coherent clarity and be sure and confident in our decision making while healing, while transforming the land. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It is necessary. It is profoundly important that we do this for every project, no matter the size or scale. Maybe you're even trying to decide what colors to paint the walls. First of all, make sure it's not toxic paint, but also, what does your house want? What will nourish your soul or your family's soul? What will bring vitality to your employees at your business, inspire them, and um, also make them feel at home in the workplace? What is the best garden layout for your organic garden, your biodynamic garden? Where should the chickens be? These things we can get so much clarity on through a process where we are connecting, communing with the land through, first of all, a deep, grateful reverence for the land and all its beautiful beings that are there supporting you, that you most of us can't even see. Some of us can, but so you don't have to feel overwhelmed with decision makings or with being unsure whether you're doing your land a service or a disservice. You can be sure. And meanwhile, develop a profound connection to your property so you can feel at home. You can feel safe and secure. You can feel at peace. You can work in a place that feeds your heart and soul so you can better utilize your unique ability and gifts, whether you're a healer or an artist. And if you work with animals, you can be ensuring that they are receiving vitality and healing through this process. So, this is absolutely beautiful and unique. I'm excited to share more about how this process works and why this process works and why it's important, imperative that each and every one of us begin to craft our environments, co-create our environments from this place of deep, grateful reverence. I keep using that term, but it's just this is how we get there. This is how we heal the disharmony in ourselves and the land. And it is empowering for you as well. So if this interests you and you have a project in mind or you're about to kickstart the planning for a project, please check out my website, Awaken Terrain. Apply to work with me. I would love to co-create with you spaces that nourish your whole being while honoring the sacredness of your land. And if you like the sounds of this, then please subscribe to my podcast and follow me on at Awaken Terrain on Instagram and join the reciprocity of creation by sharing and letting me know your thoughts and wishes for this podcast. I am here to serve. That said, I do have a lineup of episodes coming. I do believe I will be diving into the timeless ideals of truth, beauty, and goodness next, and how these timeless ideals inform the architecture of our future now. So if this excites you, then please check out my next episode coming soon. Um, I'm really going to be diving into the work of Rudolf Steiner during this series and many of my series. So uh, if you're so inclined, then, you can also start your own studies. I truly believe we're all meant to be empowered on this journey, inspired and empowered. So I hope this was illuminating for you. I hope this was inspiring. And thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. I'm so excited for this journey and co-creating a new blueprint, a shared blueprint for Earth filled with love, harmony, peace, and joy, of course. Till next time. Bye.